webinar. So today's webinar is about how AI can find campaign ready content instantly with a solution from our friends here at Canto. My name is Mike Kaput. I am the Chief Content Officer here at Marketing AI Institute. We are hosting the webinar here today with Canto. I'm joined today by Andrew and Brian, two experts at Canto. Canto is the industry leader in digital asset management, and they empower global brands with an AI-powered platform to manage your growing content library. And we are going to talk about exactly how that can be done using powerful AI from Canto today to find campaign-ready content instantly. If you are just tuning in and joining us, we are just getting the webinar started right now. Before we do, just a couple quick housekeeping slides for everyone. In a moment, I'm going to turn it over to Andrew and Brian. They're going to show us some incredible AI technology. But first, I want to just quickly mention what we do here at Marketing AI Institute. If you're newer to the audience, we have been around since 2016, making AI approachable and actionable, not just for marketers, but also for business leaders all around the world. We do that through media, events, and education. And we have a ton of initiatives, both free and paid, to help our community learn exactly how to understand, pilot, and scale artificial intelligence. Now, as we get into the rest of this webinar here, I want to just quickly remind everyone, we are going to be sending this out on demand. So if you have to leave us early, you got here late, we will be sending this out on demand via email, the email you signed up with, typically about 24 hours after the webinar. So we will be getting that recording out to you at that time. Second, if you have any questions as we go for Andrew and Brian, drop them in the chat or in the Q&A section. Our team is going to be monitoring all the questions, and we'll get to as many of them as we can at the end during the Q&A portion. So feel free at any time to drop those in. And if we could advance one slide, we've got one last thing to talk about, and then it's going to be over to you, Andrew and Brian. I want to remind everyone, we are hosting our MACON, our Marketing AI conference, in less than a month, September 10th through the 12th, here in Cleveland, Ohio, our home base. We are expecting 1,000+ marketers and business leaders and AI experts to be coming together at MACON this year to see dozens of incredible sessions on how to actually get started or go further with AI and take the next step on your AI journey, as well as tons of incredible networking opportunities. So all of this event, every single aspect of it is designed to help you massively accelerate your AI education and adoption. So if you have not yet already gone over to MACON, MAICON.ai, and learn more about what we've got in store, I'd highly encourage you to. And please use the code you see displayed here to also save $100 on your ticket. All right, with that out of the way, Andrew and Brian, I'm going to turn it over to you. As a reminder, these are our AI in Action series of webinars. These are webinars where we take care to actually show you really interesting AI solutions for very tangible use cases. And that's exactly what Andrew and Brian are going to do here for us today. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys if you'd like to maybe tell us a little bit more about yourself and then kick us off.
Mike, thank you very much for having us. It's super exciting to be here. I'll give you a quick rundown about myself, and then maybe Brian, you can give a 30-second as well. But I'm Andrew Hall. I am the VP of Global Demand Generation at Canto. I'm based in the UK, so hi to everyone who's dialed in from the UK. But I'm lucky I spent a lot of my time in the US. And I originally hail from Cape Town in South Africa. I didn't see any South Africans dialing in today, but yeah, that's also good. We're going to talk to you really around what we're doing with AI and why we think it's so important. I've got the less exciting task, but it's still exciting about giving you some background, some interesting insights around where we're taking things and what our vision is for the damn industry and what we're doing for content. And then Brian's going to actually show you under the hood and show you AI in action. And so I'll try not to spend too much time, but really I think it's very important to understand what we're doing with AI, and you'll see that in a second. A bit of background: I spent 15 years of my career in the agency space, and I was lucky enough to run a group of agencies for 7 of those years. And so, really, I have witnessed firsthand the challenges of content creation, both on the creative side, but also on the marketing side. And I'm lucky now to be on a vendor that really helps both marketers and creatives deliver more content at the right time to deliver more campaigns with the right content, which is really the crux of this conversation. Before I get going, Brian, would you like to maybe introduce yourself, give you a quick background and the key role that you play at Canto, and then we'll get stuck into the content and back into the actual demonstration of AI in action.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Andrew. Nice to meet everybody. I'm calling you from Austin, Texas. My name is Brian Athey. I'm a solutions engineer here at Canto. I've been with Canto almost 3 years now. I have a background in software implementation and solution engineering, as well as machine learning and translations. In a prior life, I used to be a professional translator and worked on machine translations for large amounts of corpus-based data in between Spanish and English. So happy to be here and excited to show you how we can apply this in action. So pass it back to you all. Thanks.
Awesome, Brian. Well, I'll get back to you in about between 7 and 10 minutes. Let me get going. So the first thing that we see a lot, and we're very lucky, both myself and Brian get to engage with the close to 4,000 customers we have, but also prospects. And when we talk to our customers, we see them overwhelmed by 3 main challenges that I'm sure are going to resonate very clearly with you. The first one is that digital marketing is becoming more and more complex every day, more important and more complex. And in order to reach your users and customers, you have to do this across an increasing number of channels, devices, and platforms. That adds complexity as well as volume. The next one is the actual volume and explosion of volume and content required. So you've got this interesting mix of different platforms, which require different sizes, different variations of similar content. We're also seeing a huge explosion in video and multimedia content as certain platforms have advanced, and the effectiveness of short form video as well as long term video has exploded. And that just adds more complexity to your task of delivering multifaceted campaigns that are going to break through and grab the attention of audiences that lack attention in many ways. And then the last one, which is interesting, is collaboration difficulties. And when I speak to collaboration in this way, I speak more focused around team personnel collaboration, people collaboration. But it's also an interesting point. We're going to talk around collaboration and effectiveness of tech stacks. But on the people side, with the increase of decentralized marketing and this rise of remote work, especially post-COVID, internal collaboration has become more important as well as challenging in making effective campaigns deliver on time. And therefore, what we're seeing is this huge importance around digital asset management, or the way that you store your assets that can be accessed by anyone at any time across multiple locations in a collaborative state. No, that has not been more important in the last probably 5 years than we've ever seen. And so traditional asset management platforms that we see in some ways potentially add to this complexity by only focusing on the basic storage and organization and nothing else. And our vision really aims to simplify and streamline all of these challenges by recognizing that a dam shouldn't, and quite frankly, cannot work in isolation. In fact, our feeling is that a dam is your foundational piece of tech that really pulls together the whole journey of content from creation, ideation, creation, and delivery. And so if you look at kind of how we're going to do that, and you look at this kind of content journey that all of you are involved in, we believe that a dam like Canto is going to play a foundational role in organizing this whole process, from planning to creation to organizing to managing, collaborating, publishing, and analyzing. If you think about it, a dam sits essentially to all of that. So this is our vision. This is the roadmap that we're on. We believe it's super exciting. As someone who's been pioneering the dam space for over 30 years, we continue to pioneer that space. And as you'll see, by harnessing AI, we're going to enable all of this. Now, this is not going to happen overnight, and Brian's going to talk to the advancements of what we've done and where we're going. But ultimately, our vision is that in the next couple of years, a DAM is going to be central to the ability for all of you to deliver effectively on campaigns, on time, in budgets, without breaking teams and personnel. So exciting things ahead. So why is this so important for us? And why do we think that, now is so prevalent, especially around AI? Well, AI has become in many ways the go-to help for many marketing teams. And there is no question about how powerful AI is and the impact that it can make to an organization if done correctly. I'm shortly going to hand over to Brian and he can show you exactly what I mean. But what I wanted to give you was some of the insights around AI, potentially some of the pitfalls, and the fact that AI with a strategy can be so powerful versus AI without a strategy. And it's one of the things that we see a lot is, what is your content strategy? And a lot of the responses we get is, we're going to implement AI. And to be very clear, AI is not a strategy. However, it's an incredibly powerful tool to implement a highly effective and successful strategy. So what does that mean and where does it take us? So as I've mentioned, never before have we seen so much content required. In fact, in our State of Digital Content 2023, where we go and engage with all of our customers and marketers in global roles, 51% of them say businesses are struggling to keep up with the increasing demands of content. What I find really interesting inside here, and I haven't got on the slide, is that we have a very interesting trifecta of less budgets, more content required, quicker time, which creates this really interesting space where marketers and creative teams are really struggling to keep pace. In fact, 73% of marketers say they're frustrated with the process of searching and looking for these assets, especially under pressure when we've got less teams. And the one thing that I often talk to is when billable resources are doing jobs that aren't billable and are menial, that ends up in a very challenging space. And so the big message here is that more content, less time, less budget and people leads to very difficult, challenging environments. And then you get things like looking for content, which just exacerbates the problem. And we see that in more than 2/3 of our customers, where content searching, which really shouldn't be there, is one of their biggest challenges. And so if we look at, what does this do, right? Does the content, AI as this incredible tool comes in as the superhero and savior, the expectations for AI are incredibly high. And so from Forbes, the Forbes artificial intelligence report last year, 64% of marketers expect AI to increase their productivity. And I believe it absolutely will if done correctly. 59% expected to save costs through AI usage. It's interesting because no doubt it can, but there are many cases where it hasn't. And 70% say quick content generation is probably the biggest advantage of ChatGPT. And so these are the things that we hear regularly, and we say, hey, how are you harnessing the power of AI to help you deliver against your goals? These are the things we're seeing. And many of you might have worked with Gartner, seen Gartner, and if you lean in, you can probably see what it looks like. But I often talk to the Gartner hype cycle, which is a really interesting evaluation of new technology done by Gartner and where it sits in the journey of implementation into kind of being a part and parcel of the marketing tech stack. And if you look at the little box we've put around the top of that, the top of the mountain there is the generative AI is sitting at the peak of inflated expectations. So go back to the previous slide. There's an interesting anomaly between the expectations of AI and what it's going to potentially deliver and what it's not. And so the biggest thing that we see, and I'll talk about it in a second, is the potential chaos that something like AI can bring in if not implemented within a robust strategy. And so we believe that, AI is such an incredibly powerful tool, but it has to be done not in isolation and done with a slightly more macro view on what it is you're going to do on a content side. Our feeling is that if you look at this trough of disillusionments, that through the right implementation of the right tools, and again, we obviously throw Canto in the mix there, is that we believe that Orange Line can help many of our customers actually shadow out that trough of disillusionment and get them to a place or plateau of productivity through the right use of AI connected to their tech stack, all driving to the right place. So if you go back to our vision around Canto and AI being a connector of all things within the content journey, we're very excited about the role that we're going to play in harnessing AI to deliver on the expectations of marketers and creators alike. And so as I kind of go into my last couple of slides and hand over to Brian, we often talk about this birth of content chaos, and certainly nothing that we didn't invent the term content chaos, but we are seeing it happening more and more and more. And so what is content chaos? Content chaos is the result of producing high volumes of content without the right tools in place and an effective strategy on how your team will plan, create, organize, and publish that content. We often see, and as a marketer and a creative or creative leader, I've certainly done this myself, we often buy technology that excites us and we then put it into the system without the idea of how does it connect, right? And I see that, disconnected tech stacks are often the biggest reason why we see content chaos happening. And one of the more interesting things that we saw from across our customer base is that based on a creative team of between 10 and 15, so relatively small, that 3.5 weeks is wasted each year just by hunting for digital assets. So the bigger your team, the bigger your delivery, the more that's exacerbated. But 3.5 weeks may not sound like a lot of time, but that's an incredible amount of hours stacked up in a year just looking for content. That's crazy. And so, what does that mean? We're helping our customers, and a lot of the talks we do is around this idea of an AI balancing act, the concept that we need more content and faster campaigns required all the time. Marketing and creative are under ongoing pressure to deliver more, stay ahead of the competition, harness more platforms, etc. There's less budget and headcount available, and so AI to the rescue. And I put a question mark there is because I think it is, but it has to be done very carefully. So how do we ensure this equation is true, right? The big thing is understanding the purpose of AI and how you're going to apply it. Does it do what it promises, and is it what you need? Have you applied AI across the whole content lifecycle, not just for content creation? I love generative AI, and I look at all these amazing tools that have come to bear and how they help us. But AI is not just there for content generation. I believe it's there for much, much more. And then, is implementing AI easy to do, and can you scale it? And those are some of the challenges that we are helping a lot of our prospects and customers overcome. And so if I move into, so what, right? So Andrew, like cards on the table, what is it that Canto is doing to lead AI and drive AI within DAM to really help the world of marketers and content creators do things more effectively and try and quell some of these pressures and challenges that we saw? I need to be very clear here that Canto, if you go back to our vision, we believe that we're using AI to harness the power of searchability and accessibility and sharing within the DAM space. We have opted to not go for generative AI within the DAM. Our feeling is that there are some incredible generative AI platforms out there. Once you've created your assets through the use and help of these tools, you need a place that's fortified by AI to do what we say on the tin, which is help you search, share, and find crucial and critical assets. And so if I look at this game changer that we call it, what is AI visual search? Well, put simply, it's natural language search. So just describe the picture or video that and what it contains, and you reach your goal without the use of metadata. Search on natural language. The more descriptive you are, the search, the more detailed the results are, and utilize the potential of hidden assets in your library that have seemingly been lost for many, many years. We do not advocate that metadata is not required, but we also understand with the pace of content creation, the challenges of what's needed, metadata structuring becomes more and more difficult. The great thing about AI visual search, which is the first really big, bold step in this journey of harnessing AI, allows you to find assets that you didn't know were there that potentially couldn't have been metadata tagged, and for you to find the correct assets that are campaign ready instantly and share them across your network and different silos. So with that in mind, I'm going to hand over to Brian. Brian, you're going to take it from here, but quickly give us a bit of insight into the actual science behind AI visual search, because AI visual search is far and above beyond facial recognition, which we have, and n- um, AI-driven metadata tagging, again, something that we think is um, rudimentary to a DAM. AI visual search has a bit of machine learning, has some really interesting insights into AI, enhancing AI. Give us a bit of science, and then show us the power of AI visual search as well.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that. So what we're seeing on the screen here is an example of how AI visual search utilizes machine learning. Think of it like a neural network, right? Which are nodes in a program that act like brain cells. So these nodes get excited by specific things, but the magic is that no one tells them what to get excited about. So the model itself decides what is important by repeatedly analyzing large sets of data, detecting patterns, and then determining which ones matter. So imagine AI visual search as a vast library of millions of ebooks and books, right? Where each book represents an image filled with countless details. And when you search for a specific image, the AI powered by this neural network that we're seeing on the screen here acts like a super smart librarian who quickly scans its memory of patterns and then instantly recognizes and finds similar books based on your description, all in a matter of seconds. Now, the reason why this is important for your team, that while you're all here, is because this is greatly going to enhance content retrieval. What AI visual search does is it quickly finds relevant assets from a vast library, saving time and improving your workflow efficiency. It also helps you have more consistent branding across campaigns. So machine learning will ensure that all marketing materials adhere to brand guidelines, right? You can also refurbish assets better. We know that working now, your team also has assets that were produced maybe 10 or 20 years ago. And so you need to have machine learning in order to retrieve those assets so that you can refurbish them without having to continue purchasing licensing costs. There's a lot of discovery that can happen. So I think it actually might be better if we kind of dive into the tool itself and start getting going on this so we can see it in real time. Sound good?
Sound good to me, Brian. I'm
Okay.
going to stop sharing. No, sorry, I'm gonna flip you over. Tell me when you need to stop the screen share.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll go ahead and start sharing now, and we'll dive right into it. So I'm going to jump right into our one of our clients is the Associated Press, and what we're going to see is you all can test this in your own time off the call, but we think that it's a really effective way to show how this is actually being used right now in the field. And so what the Associated Press uses AI visual search for is in order to help people use their own natural language so that they can find these assets and videos and do content discovery better. And then the AP benefits from it because they can license these images out better. So as a use case example, let's go ahead and use an event that has a lot of different branding and a lot of different people and a lot of things going on, which is pretty difficult for teams right now. We use a marathon. What we're going to do first is use this to Chicago Marathon, and I'm going to start finding brands, logos, imagery, bib numbers, all these specific things that in the past metadata had to help me find, but now I can use AI to do that content discovery. So what we'll do first is go for a Chicago Marathon, runners at a starting line. START, starting line. Now, I'm going to first do the search without the AI. And we'll notice that with search results, I only get 4 results. And that's because the metadata that the team has added only pertains to those 4 metadata points. But if I use the AI to search now, what it's doing is using that neural networking that we showed in the imagery to find all of these images. And now I have 50 results compared to 4. Let's take it a little further and say, maybe I wanted to show that the runners are drinking and water during the race and staying hydrated, right? So we'll say Chicago Marathon runners, and then we'll go for drinking water while running. So I'm using natural language here in order to do that discovery. You notice how the results are happening instantaneously as well. And now I'm getting exactly that search that I wanted. I can even put in like Gatorade cup as well. The reason why this is important is that if we turn this off and I come in here, I'm not going to have any of these results. In fact, I have 0 results. And what that does to your team as well is people get frustrated. People are going to lose interest. We know that they're going to stop these searches. You might create a whole slew of emails and things based on content discovery. So what this does It empowers people to use their own language to search. Let's even take it really further. Let's go for Chicago Marathon, and then let's go for bib number A2073 receiving a medal. Now I'm going to type in receiving wrong and misspell it to show that it also takes into account people not being able to spell. So if you are ironically an English major and still can't spell to save your life, doesn't matter. Here we see exactly what I'm searching for. Bib number A2073 receiving a medal at the finish line. Now, if I were to search for that using metadata, wouldn't exist. And also our team doesn't have time to actually add all of the bib numbers of the thousands of runners at the Chicago Marathon. So we're seeing in real time how we're using AI to do better content discovery. Now, where the fun stuff gets in for marketing is we know that people pay a lot of money in order for our brand to be seen at this marathon. So let's go for a specific bank. Let's say we had LaSalle Bank logo, Chicago Marathon finish line. Now, if I turn off the AI and search for this, I'm not going to be able to retrieve anything. In fact, I think it's going to be 0. Go ahead and see if anything populates. Doing this in real time. Bingo, nothing. Turn on the AI, get some accurate results here. Boom, LaSalle Bank finish line, Chicago Marathon. So for me, let's say if I'm working in congruence with LaSalle Bank, now I can say, when they make that request to us, hey, I have all of the positions in which your brand was placed at the marathon. Use this as you will. And I'll show you how we can use the DAM into this. But I'm going to pause for effect now. Andrew, any comments or any kind of feedback that we're receiving on what we're showing so far?
So Brian, there's been some great feedback on it. Looks great. Someone mentioned the spelling of words is a great addition. Certainly I struggle every now and then as well. And the big thing for me, Brian, is this is amazing. And if you look at AP, they've got an incredible library of assets that go back many years. But this is our technology sitting on top of that, right?
Yeah.
What I want to see now is how have we taken that technology and really inculcated into an actual DAM, right? So not everyone listening is going to have a massive online repository which we can layer over, which is wonderful. Actually, the DAM that then connects everything together and part of our vision. Let's have a look at like the same thing, AI visual search in action within the Canto DAM itself.
Definitely. That's a great transition. Let's dive right into a Canto instance right now that has over 2 million assets. So what I'm going to be doing now is using AI visual search in a DAM in order to do that content discovery. Let's take the vertical now, education. So I'm going to go for college students at graduation and shot from above. So now we're using some camera techniques. Now, if I were to search for this in the past, I would have to tag shot from above as a camera technique in order to find this. But now, from my graduation, I can find all of my students from above. If I were to turn this off and perform the search, we're going to show that nothing's appearing because we don't have any metadata that pertains to this search. Let's do more camera techniques. So we'll go college students at graduation, close up, low lighting. I'm going to turn on my AI, perform the search, and then from that vast library of 2 million assets, I'm now incorporating some of those camera techniques. So close up, low lighting, perfect example of this, right? Now, we talked about the collaboration component, with kind of Andrew brought this in the beginning. Here's how this applies to your team. Now what I can do is I can comment on this image and I can app my marketing team and say, this is a great image. Or I can come in here as well from the DAM and create a share link. I can now create a direct URL to this and then share this out with externals that don't even have access to DAM. So not only am I showing faster content discovery, but my collaboration as well, which the DAM helps with, will streamline that as well. We'll do one more search for imagery with the DAM, and then we'll move on to videos. But let's do something like college students at graduation, black and white image, right? Now I'm able to search through black and white images, or I could do like sepia or monochromatic images as well. So in the past, refurbishing these images was a time suck for a lot of teams. And in fact, you had to increase the headcount. That's where people's minds traditionally went to in the past. We have millions of assets now, we got to hire more. But what AI allows you to do is to not have to increase that headcount, and it enhances the power of your digital asset manager. I'll go ahead and pause for effect right now. Should we go to video now, Andrew? Does that seem like something that's
So there's a couple of great questions that I'd like to get to, but I would
Sure.
like to go to video first. And
Okay.
I'll tell you guys, it might answer a few, and then we can circle back.
Okay.
The big thing for me, Brian, is that, and I spoke about one of the challenges is this explosion of content. One of the biggest ones that I see, as sitting in the marketing team, I certainly push for this is video content, right? And so a couple of things here. One is video content is traditionally very difficult to search through. So you know that you've either, you've got things in there that you want to go and find. You have to literally go along the taskbar and pull it across, which is painful, and then give your editor cut in, cut out, which is painful and excruciating. The other one is the ability to go and create B-rolls and things like that. Hugely powerful things. How can we help with that?
Oh, we got a great solution for this. And I'm glad you mentioned B-rolls, because they're one of the kind of unsung heroes of video teams, because it just gives me more content to build value to the video that we're creating. So let me go ahead and share the dam real quick. Let's take an example. Like we had, let's say, a chef video that we were working with. And I want to find the exact moment in the video where the chef is throwing salt at vegetables. Think Salt Bay, right? And I just need this one clip because that's important to me. Now we have 2 million assets. What about if I just type in right now, a video of a chef throwing salt at vegetables? Again, I'm sifting through my library of 2 million assets. What it's doing is showing me the most relevant results at the top. Now, what this number 2 here means is that there are 2 clips that are relevant to the search results that I've added in here. When I click on this video, what we're going to see is Canto is going to provide you with those exact moments in the video where this occurs. Let's check it out. Boom, click on this. It's going to show you first off the best match to this. So let's click on the best match, and then it's going to automatically play this for us. Give it just a second here. Play this. For this one to see if this one loads right now. Boom. Chef throwing salt at videos. Now let's take it a step further. Let's say if I wanted to download that clip, what Canto will do is highlight the clip in which that occurs so that your download can be specific to the search parameter that you're searching for. The time that video teams save with this is tremendous. If I were to have to do this to find salt being thrown at vegetables, a very specific action in video, it would be a huge time suck. Pulling back to the collaboration component, now what Canto can do is I can come into this video and I'd be able to make a comment on here at 28 seconds where this action occurs. And I can even change the duration of that comment to make it 10 seconds. And I can tell my creative team, hey, creatives, let's update the video. So now I'm using AI as a way to make my search parameters faster. And then I can collaborate with my teams, and then we can push this content out faster. So we have an example in real time of how Canto can find specific actions in video, and then how we can collaborate with our teams to push that to market faster. What's going through your mind as you're seeing all of this, Andrew? And how can we use this as well?
The biggest thing that kind of goes through my mind is what do we, and out of interest, big thank you to one of our customers, Matthew, in the chat. He was like, AI has been a game changer. Brian, what are you seeing? You're literally at the coalface, right? You're dealing with a lot of implementation stuff, and how do we figure things out for customers that are quite unique? What are the biggest things you're seeing around not only the use of a industry-leading DAM like Canto, but AI being able to go and find assets that are campaign ready, which talks to our headline? What is it that you're seeing is the biggest game changer there?
Biggest game changer that we're seeing for teams is when you have a new admin or a new person to the team, using AI in order to do content discovery from historical amounts of assets, and then providing organization to that. So what this will allow your team to do is not only can I use AI to find it, but once I do find all those assets, we can provide value to the organization by providing metadata as well. What Canto's position on this is that we're not using AI to completely remove metadata, but we're actually using it as a way to provide better metadata as well. So my content discovery for historical assets has been improved. And where we've seen this is with some image libraries that go back to the 1800s. What I'm able to do is find me 1800 images of a hillside with trees from the Massachusetts landscape. This for us is the game changer because it allows me to use AI to do content discovery from historical assets, not only current assets.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
out of it, you spoke around where you're leading to, and I'm cognizant we've got a couple of really great questions, and we've got about 8 minutes. So
Okay.
let's shorten. We can jump into questions, and Mike, you lead me on how we want to do the questions. But the last thing that I'm excited about, and I spoke about this as a journey that we're pioneering on, and we've really just started. AI visual search is a really bold step forward, and I think a game changer of how things are. And I think you've shown that. But talk to me about a couple of things. One is this concept of hybrid search. And also, like, what are you seeing down the line, right? So you get to spend a lot more time with the product team. Give us a 2-minute overview of the hybrid concept, as well as where we're taking things over the next couple of years.
Yep. Great question. So first off, as you know, Canto, we are actively investing in our machine learning and AI visual search team, meaning that we have Canto employees that are following through on the product and the product roadmap. We have our product heads now talking with current customers about what needs that they have. And some of those are, hey, we've had a whole bunch of metadata from the past, and we don't want to actually lose this. In fact, because of our e-commerce platforms, we need things like the SKU. We need things like the product ID in order to help us find that content faster. So how can we use AI in tandem with metadata in order to provide searches faster? I can give you an example, and I'll show you right now. One would be facial recognition. Facial recognition is technically considered metadata. How can I find images of people together using the AI? And then I can provide organization to that. Let's actually show that right now. I can show, as an example, we have a content library here. What I'm going to do is find an example of, let's say, Steve Jobs talking with Tim Cook, current CEO of Apple. Come in here now, I'm able to find 1,215 results of those people together. So what I'm using here is the facial recognition, which is technically considered metadata, in congruence with AI visual search. Now, if I were to not enable the AI visual search, I only have one result. And that's because the metadata has been added in order to help me find that. But using AI, I'm able to refurbish the content that we have historically in here so that I'm able to find those results faster, push them out to market faster. And then what I could do is select all assets, add those to my folder and album structure. So I have some taxonomy. And what I've done is smash 3 potatoes with 1 fork. I'm able to provide organization to my organization faster. I'm able to push content to market faster. And then our refurbishing of assets, we're not having to spend as much money on having to then go to Getty and get those licensed images. I see in our library, oh, we already had them. I'm using AI to help that discovery.
I think one last comment I'll make is the ability for us as Canto employees, and especially yourself, bringing feedback from the coalface, the flexibility we have and ability to deliver against real challenges we see with a dedicated development team excites me even more, because a bit like machine learning, as we learn things and nuance within what people are looking for and challenges, so we're able, especially in your position, to bring that back into our development team and actually start, creating things against challenges that are kind of real, right? And
Yep.
keep on learning as well. We have 5 minutes left. I'm cognizant there's been a lot of questions. Would you like to ask the questions, or would you like me to flip through them? I'm happy to answer whatever we can in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is, we a lot going through the next 20 minutes. So we actually have quite a bit of a question time here. So we're gonna dive in here to a
Okay.
bunch of stuff. We have a ton going on. So I just want to tee things up really quick and thread a few of these things together. And please, Brian or Andrew, feel free to jump in and answer. So at a high level, we got a couple questions, some of which were answered in the chat, about Canto is layering over your own assets, correct? And then we are layering artificial intelligence over those to be able to actually find the stuff that you already have and that your company is buying. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. What we
Right.
will do is we will assist with the ingestion of all your assets. We have an implementation team that's very hands-on in this That's the first step that we'll have if you were to become a Canto client, we'll assist you with getting the assets in. Then once that happens, we'll automatically start the indexing. There's no lift from your team on enabling this AI. I think it's also important to note too that all of your content, should it be needed to be housed in the US, can be housed in the US. We had some people from Canada. If it needs to be housed within Canada for GDPR regulations, that's something we can also do as well. Those are primarily the questions that people have about AI with us is it housed in the US? Yes, it can be. Can it be housed exclusively in Canada? Sure. Of course it can be. Great question.
Yeah. So, and that's what's so cool about what you showed is this is easily one of the better demos I've seen. So congrats. That's
Oh,
incredible.
thanks.
But it's so tangible because like you led off with at the beginning, the challenge here is we're literally spending on average almost a month of our time each year
Yep.
trying to do what you just showed this
Yeah.
doing in seconds. And we're spending a ton of money, it sounds like, on stock imagery or licensed imagery or assets that we don't know we already have stuff that can work for this. So it sounds like anyone that has any volume of assets really needs to be seriously considering something like this because it sounds like typical metadata just doesn't cut it.
Yeah.
I think, Mike, what we're seeing, especially in the marketing space, or in fact, both in the creative space, is that things are being done at such quick speed these days. There's not the time to really set up the structures to get it done properly. Right? So that's become a luxury. You have a drop in headcounts, and so having someone who's a metadata specialist whose job is only there to go and create metadata structuring and make sure when you ingest things that is done to the like letter of how it's meant to be. There's very few organizations who have that luxury, and even if they do, those people are massively under pressure. And so what happens is it's this vicious circle of things are created at extra pace. Things are put in, hopefully, to a dam if you have them. Your creatives or whoever might just at will buy multiple assets from Getty or Shutterstock or Adobe, and then they lie there. And it's interesting. My belief is that you could pay for this type of technology just through the non-usage of images that you put and
Right.
utilize, right? And so often people go like, I just can't afford to invest in even more tech. I go back to our vision. I think that a dam, especially powered by AI, is actually fundamental and rudimentary to success as well as economic success going forward. And the quicker things get and the more important content becomes, it only exacerbates the problem. And you kind of like sit back in 2 years' time and go, I've got millions of assets. I can't find anything.
And so it sounds like this was related to a question someone did have in the chat here. AI search in general is being provided by, say, major service providers. But what's unique here is we're applying this to our internal images without having to build this solution ourselves. Other, service providers out there where you're doing, say, a Google search with AI search is not able to help you do what we're trying to do here with your own assets. Is that correct?
Correct. And what's happening with Google is it's using keywords included in the file name of this in order for the web crawler in order to find these images. One of the other questions in the chat was also about digital rights management. How can AI visual search help with digital rights management? Well, these are all images in your content library. What we could do is use the AI visual search to discover content that we have in the past. Then what I can do is let me kind of share my screen real quick and show you how Canto can help you with that. So we just used the example of Steve Jobs talking with Tim Cook. Now what I could do is select all assets and then come into the dam and apply a copyright, apply terms and conditions, and apply a watermark. And then what I can even do is put an expiration date on this. So I can say, all right, I need these assets to expire September of 2024 so that we remain compliant and don't have to pay those hefty fines if those assets are shared. That way we create the culture of creative integrity. That's what we're looking for AI to also help us out. So not only can AI help us discover, but can also help us embed those digital rights into our assets so that we're ensuring compliance.
There was a question that popped up that I was going to ask you to show while you had the screen up. But
okay, yeah, I can do that again.
A question from Tracy is that can metadata be added back into the data once AI is found, right? So again, one of the wonderful things, and we are not suggesting metadata isn't critical to the success of dams. We are. In fact, we can do both, right? So maybe, Brian, you could show that.
Yeah, definitely. So, and as an example, what we would do for these is once I discover these assets using AI, I can add all sorts of product details. Like these can be custom built out during the implementation, but like a SKU number, model name. If you're using Amazon, that ASIN number for marketplace. But another example that we can kind of think of is like, let's say if we were to have like Corvette at a trade show, and then we have Stingray, right? There's no way that if I didn't tag the Stingray on here, it wouldn't be able to find it. But what the AI is doing is it's now picking up that Stingray that we have. So I'm able to find even model numbers of cars. And then let's say if we didn't have the model number on here, I could just come in and I'll just type this as an example, Stingray. So now what I'm doing is for compliance reasons, if you internally need to have specific metadata on there, I'm using my AI to do the content discovery and then adding the metadata. Then what I can do is now my hybrid search will incorporate the Stingray in there as well. So again, a way that we can use AI for discovery, add metadata in bulk, and then we're marrying the two worlds together so that we're just further enhancing content discovery.
That is incredible. I love seeing that in action. One question we got here, if a client has multiple dams, do you ingest all that content into Canto? Do you search their dams for that content? Like, can you maybe just give us a sense of kind of how some of these cases might work?
Sure. So what we do, you can use AI visual search as a standalone, as you saw with the Associated Press. If that's something that you all would like to do, we can certainly talk about that offline and talk about the options there. The reason why people want to use Canto as a dam for this is because of all of the enhanced capabilities that you give the dam. One, share. Anybody that has shared content with external media organizations knows that if I were to, let's say, I'm not going to name any names here, but a file hosting service, the discovery process for people that don't have any idea of the content you're sharing with them is dependent upon file name. So you're limited to search on file name with just a file hosting service. The other reason why a dam is important is we can also, one, provide metadata and embed that into the assets themselves. We can also create unlimited portals as well, which would be kind of like landing pages for people to come in and they can download the assets, put a watermark on them, share them, and then help further spread the message of our dam. So we provide unlimited portals in order for you to help share that content. And also digital rights, as I'm showing as well, facial recognition. So does that answer your question, or can I kind of clarify that in any way?
Yeah, that seems like that gets at the gist of the question we got here.
Okay.
We'll let David here chime in if he wants to follow up with any other
Yeah.
context there, but that's awesome.
Yeah. David's been asking some great
Yeah,
questions.
I know, right? Yeah, these are incredible. And just to confirm, someone asked, I think you had covered this. When you search for content, are you able to look at the difference between stuff you own and things that you may need to syndicate, or things that you have a certain license to? How does that work again? I think you had showed it really briefly.
Yeah. So what we actually can do is we can filter one, and there's a variety of ways. I'm just going to show you one right here. But let's say, that image results of 2 million assets that I was showing here. What I can do is filter by my status. So I can, one, just show me of all of these assets that I found, what's approved, what's pending or restricted, or what's even expired. So that after my search results, I'm able to use the metadata to help me find, okay, what can I use? Because if I'm a creative, I'm creating, and what I need to know is first, just show me what the team has said that I can and can't use. So you can not only filter by status as well, but we can also put in like terms and conditions. So what I could do is add in a terms and conditions field here that filters by specific terms and conditions. Let's say it's Getty images. Find first all images that are licensed to Getty, and then I can then filter by the expiration date as well.
That's incredible. Thank you for showing that off. Someone asked a question, and we don't have to get in the weeds here. I'm just kind of curious at a high
Sure.
level. Um, are there factors to consider here with things like HIPAA, healthcare privacy considerations, any other maybe compliance or security issues related to what we're doing here?
So as far as Canto goes with HIPAA, the only requirements to be a user of Canto are a name and an email. That's it. The amount of pi that you introduce into the system is completely dependent upon you, but know that Canto is HIPAA compliant. And as far as maintaining HIPAA compliance, what we can do is also use AI like facial recognition in order to identify specific demographics and then applying those terms and conditions so that we're maintaining compliance. What we saw was how we can identify images and then add an expiration date that directly ties to HIPAA. We can also relate images to, let's say, a photo release form. So if I wanted to have somebody, search by a specific name in there, I can also have the photo release form related to that image. That way we're just ensuring that we're staying compliant. Then if we know that particular employee, let's say they stop working at our company and we need to remove all images of them, which definitely does happen. What you could use is the AI to discover those images and then put an expiration date to them. So it just helps further enhance the openness of HIPAA agreements, meaning that I need to be able to find that pie really quickly, apply terms and conditions and then digital rights, and then make sure that we're expiring those assets, that we maintain compliance. Great question.
That's fantastic. So I did want to just quickly zoom out here for a second because I love the point that both of you have made at various times throughout today's webinar about understanding the purpose of the AI that you're actually applying. I think this is like a very important point that people miss. Like Canto here has done such a good job of showing a tangible, valuable use case and a very clear usage for AI within the organization. But I think a lot of marketers, Andrew, you had mentioned, struggle sometimes to say, why are we applying this tool? Why are we going through this process? What is our purpose in trying to use smarter technology here? I'm wondering, could you maybe just give us a little advice? Like, what questions should marketers be asking of themselves or vendors to kind of better understand like where AI fits into the overall equation here? And Andrew or Brian, either of you, if you have thoughts on that, I think that'd be really valuable for the audience.
Totally. So Mike, I think it's a great question, one of which I can talk at length to. I will, but I'll keep it short. I think an anecdotal story is a great example of how AI can be the best and worst that you've ever dreamt. Right? And so I've got being in the agency world, a very close friend of mine is an creative director at a big network of agencies. And when, if you haven't seen Adobe Firefly, I'll be surprised, but when Adobe Firefly first came out, I got hold of Brendan and said, Bren, like, tell me about Firefly. What do you think? And he was like, Andrew, it's the most phenomenal piece of technology I've ever used, and the ability to create content and concept boards and just whatever we like. Again, the boundaries of having to go outside and shoot concept and ideas is now gone. We can do it through Firefly. And so I was then doing a presentation on stage, I think in it, and I thought I'd phone him back and go, tell me, how is Firefly going 4 months later? And he was like, Andrew, it's still the most piece of powerful content creation tech I've ever seen. It's also become a nightmare because we're having to put guardrails in around the amount of content we're creating. So it's like this incredible, it took me back to when we were like trying to govern Facebook and usage of Facebook, so people didn't end up wasting time. He was like, my creators are just creating so many concept boards. I have a couple of problems. One is we can never seem to get to a final thing. We're giving customers way too many options. Secondly, I'm having to stop people and go like, we're done. We've got to get to market and be able to create billable stuff for all these examples we're creating. And what's happening is my concept and ideation process is taking 3 times longer. I have all this content floating on the agency and we're kind of tripping over ourselves. And I thought that's such a wonderful anecdotal real life story around how AI can be the very best in both worlds, right? And so I think you need to think about where you want to put it in, how it's going to be delivered. Are there guardrails that need to be happening? So you just don't create reams and reams of new things that AI is delivering against your objectives and bottom line. And then you can measure against the success.
That's incredible. And you know what I love about this solution too is it just leans into what people's natural behavior already is. Those searches that you showed with how AI was able to nail searches that typical metadata was not, those are the ways that we want to search for things. I don't think anyone naturally wants to sit here trying to guess at a keyword, right? We want to talk to the machine, to AI, to search. And that's what it seems this does so well.
Yeah, especially for people that come from multicultural and multi-language backgrounds. How I think of a specific term or concept might be somebody else who has more technical background. And so what it allows you to do is enhance discovery for more different types of demographics as well.
That's excellent. Maybe could you there was one question in the chat here. I'll try to paraphrase it. Maybe could you talk just quickly a little bit to that? There are people asking, "Hey, I'm trying to search for certain demographics, make sure we have, some diversity in the search results of our content." Could you maybe I know that's a growing
Sense.
concern for a lot of
Oh
marketers.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's a good one. And first off, just want to reiterate here that we have a product team that takes an active part in this, and so Canto does ensure that we're using your feedback about the results in order to help improve the model. What I'm going to show you right now is exactly that. Let's take a diverse group of students smiling at a college graduation. What it is taking here is diverse as far as ethnicity. So diverse group of students smiling at graduation. I'll even misspell graduation there. Reiterate that it doesn't matter if you can't spell to save your life like me. What we're seeing here is we're now sifting through those 2 million assets. And what I'm going to do is find diverse as far as ethnicity goes. It's a group of students smiling at graduation, exactly what we're looking for. Diverse demographic in an image, all students smiling. Now, you can do that inversely and have students crying. Maybe wasn't a good graduation, but it is able to read emotions and also, as you were asking about, diverse groups as well.
And Brian, out of interest, is it able to then focus in on one? So we said we'd like to see Chinese students at graduation, then
Yeah.
smiling, whatever. Like, I think that's also an interesting one. The question was really based on how do we focus in on
Mhm.
one type of ethnicity? Can we separate those? Because that might be something that marketers need.
Yeah, definitely. I can go ahead and let me actually cue that up real quick. I'll take just a general term here. So we'll go for Asian students smiling at graduation. Again, I don't have to capitalize Asian in this search. So Asian students smiling at graduation, very general here, but it is able to identify that. So this could be for all verticals as well, for all the assets. And important to note though, these are all your assets that you have in the dam. The list from you all is absolutely nothing. Canto is going to take care of the indexing of this. And then it's a turnkey approach that you can use the AI in order to do this discovery.
Awesome.
That is incredible. And I think that is an awesome note to end here on as we are just about 1 minute left here. I want to really quickly just thank Andrew and Brian. This was truly incredible. I honestly am not making it up when I say one of the better demos I've seen. So I love what you all are doing. We want to really thank all of our attendees, everyone who signed up. Thank you for your time and attention. We really, really appreciate you spending an hour of your day with us today. And Andrew and Brian, thank you again. We really appreciate it. Anyone, please feel free to reach out canto.com to the website or to Andrew and Brian directly if they have any questions. Thank you guys so much.